She sat at the table with mascara streaking down her face and said it out loud this time. "I can't live like this anymore." That wasn't drama. That wasn't a script. That was Darcey Silva finally reaching the end. At the exact same moment in a different scene, Yara crumbled. Her voice broke, eyes bloodshot, completely done pretending. She whispered something off camera that never made it into the final cut, but crew insiders caught it. This isn't love, this is survival. Welcome to TLC Drama Live, I'm Sabrina, where we don't just cover reality TV, we peel back every last layer. This episode, it flipped happily ever after into psychological thriller territory, and if you're not already sitting down, grab a chair, you're going to need it. Tap subscribe and tell me right now in the comments, who do you believe, Darcey, Yara, or the edited version TLC wants us to watch? Because episode 14 didn't build toward drama, it ambushed us with it. No slow burn, no careful pacing. It exploded right in the middle of Darcey and Georgie's quiet dinner scene. One awkward pause turned into a game of emotional Russian roulette, and she didn't miss. Darcey had that look. You know the one. The "I don't need your permission to walk away" look. And after years of enduring Tom's gaslighting, Jesse's passive aggression, and Georgie's everything, she was done playing the nice ex-wife-to-be for the cameras. According to production crew on set that night, the scene was supposed to be a redemptive milestone, another "let's try again" moment. But what really aired was the collapse of a woman who's been holding in years of receipts. Her voice wavered, but not from faking emotion. She was shaking because she meant every syllable. "I'm filing for divorce. I'm done." And the sound that followed? Not applause. Silence. The kind you only hear when a crew realizes the relationship they've been chasing for seasons isn't coming back. And just when it feels like the storm might pass, the next betrayal slaps even harder. Moments later, we cut to a visibly rattled Yara. Makeup melting, framing her jawline like war paint, Jovi tossed out some sugar-coated line about her doing too much for her brand and public image. But when she fired back, we saw the crack widen. "You think I don't sacrifice?" she asked. Not yelled, asked, almost pleading. Jovi said nothing. And then the fight started. Again. She was missing key moments in their daughter's life. Working nonstop across Europe, constantly accused of not prioritizing family, while he's the one being spotted partying with strangers in New Orleans, walking from the show. For good. So where do things really stand between her and Georgie? And why does Yara's latest Instagram story feel like it's aimed right at Jovi's timeline? And if you thought the reunion was chaotic, wait until you hear what the cameras didn't show. When the cameras stopped rolling, so did the act TLC wanted: redemption arcs, new beginnings, and romantic pinches of tension. What they got? Two women unraveling with the entire crew watching silently. Right after Darcey told Georgie she was done, producers tried to reset the set. She said no. Walked off set, still trembling, head down, security lightly shadowing in case it escalated. It didn't. She wasn't explosive. She was emptied out. Word from inside the production trailer that night? The entire crew froze. One of the makeup artists reportedly said, "That wasn't for TV, she was breaking for real." Darcey didn't return to set for hours. Georgie sat in silence, sipping bottled water, asking if they could frame it better. Yes, allegedly those were his words. Not what just happened, not is she okay, but can we fix the image? But what's broken can't always be edited around, especially not when it walks away sobbing. And while that was happening on the East Coast shoot, halfway across the country, Yara was shutting down in a hot mic moment that somehow never aired. Jovi had tried to minimize her breakdown by calling it jet lag. Told production she was tired after her travel schedule. But that was never the issue. Crew sources confirmed Yara refused to continue filming that day. One camera op reportedly overheard her say, "He punishes me for becoming someone he doesn't recognize, and I'm the one who's supposed to adjust." Online, the public mood was shifting from confused to furious. Some blamed the cast for oversharing. Others saw the clear imbalance in how these women were treated compared to their male partners. Comments flooded in. How many breakdowns do Darcey and Yara have to go through on camera before someone says enough? This isn't a reality show anymore. This is pain with cinematography. But what TLC didn't count on was how fast the internet would connect what the telecast pretended didn't exist. Across subreddit threads and TikTok breakdowns, the full picture was forming. This wasn't spontaneous conflict. This was emotional exhaustion set to reruns. Darcey wasn't just burned out. She was humiliated, watching a pattern play out in high definition. She allegedly told producers privately, "You've already shown his best side. At what cost does mine come out half recognized?" And when the truth finally comes out, it shakes the entire foundation of the franchise. There's silence on stage, but it isn't peaceful. Darcey has her phone in her right hand, gripped like it's armor. Producers wanted the reunion to feel polished. Structured segments contained tension. Instead, they got a breakdown in progress. And this time, she wasn't the one breaking. Georgie walked out calmly, wiped down face, new black blazer, no emotion. You could almost smell the prep. He smiled during introductions, nodded a little too often as Sean asked if they were in a better place. But standing alone in heels that clearly hurt, Darcey didn't flinch. She didn't sit next to him. That was your first clue. This wasn't rehearsal anymore. Second clue, she didn't say, "We're working through it." She waited. Let him say it. And he did. "We're working things out." But insiders said Darcey stayed seated while everyone else cleared the stage. She didn't cry. She stared at her nails like she had nothing left to say. When the cameras cut back on, Georgie gave a line about the messages being jokes, that it was harmless talk. You could hear an audience member scoff. Then he said it, the thing that instantly shifted the room. "I've done what I could. She's never been easy to love." And if you didn't believe Darcey's pain before, you did now. That sentence haunted every frame from then on. Because how do you forgive the person who turns your pain into your personality? Darcey didn't return to share the couch. She walked off again after whispering, "That's all they needed." What she meant. TLC got the drama. She gave them clarity. But this wasn't just Darcey's moment 20 minutes later. It was Yara's turn. Sitting beside Jovi, knees locked, barely breathing, she blinked for too long. "That's what happens when your throat burns from holding it all in." Sean asked, "Do you feel heard by Jovi?" Yara didn't even look at him. "You know the worst part?" she said. Pause. "He thinks loving someone means tolerating them." The room stiffened. Jovi held his arms crossed. He could have reached out, but he didn't. Sean turned to Jovi with the next scripted question. "Do you still love your wife?" He blinked. And blinked again. 10 full seconds of pause. Cameras zoomed in. Yara's eyes darted toward the floor, then back to him. Hopeful, then cautious. Eventually, finally, he said, "Of course I love her, but I don't know if we're good together anymore." Her reaction? A whisper. "Then why are we still doing this?" No one answered. Not producers. Not the host. And poorly. Defensive lines like that don't work when you've been caught. The audience had enough. On stage, off stage, everywhere. People were snapping. Twitter trended with the hashtag #ProtectDarcey. YouTubers started releasing side-by-sides of missing scenes, comparing preview footage and full cuts. The evidence felt deliberate. Darcey wasn't messy this time. She'd prepared. Her story wasn't built around love, it was built around escape. And most of the audience, they understood that look in her eye wasn't rage, it was relief. And if you're thinking this is the end of their stories, it might be the beginning of something rawer. By sunrise, the morning after the reunion, Darcey had already packed her things. An assistant from production, off the record, said she didn't say goodbye to the crew. Just walked silently into a black SUV with her sister, wearing sunglasses at 7 a.m. and refusing every press request handed to her phone. She wasn't angry. She was finished. Her crew told TLC she didn't want any more pickup scenes, no promos, and no rehearsed makeups. What she did leave behind, divorce paperwork sealed. Confirmed by insiders, there wasn't an apology. There wasn't a final line for the episode. There wasn't even a hug. Darcey didn't want closure framed by TLC because this time she was directing the narrative. The same night, Georgie posted a blurry gym mirror selfie, captioned with something suspiciously vague like, "Can't stop what's real." For someone who just got publicly exposed, it was tone deaf at best, manipulative at worst. Fans immediately caught it. Zero mention of Darcey, no response to the reunion, and a complete shift back into the image he controlled. Darcey's response? She unfollowed him while the reunion was still airing, deleted every photo of them across her entire page. Then, hours later, she posted one story. No sound, just white text over a black background. Sometimes grief looks a lot like clarity, and that one line made things clearer than any confessional ever could. Meanwhile, miles away, Yara was, by all appearances, done pretending. Two multiple fan accounts reported seeing her with a Miami real estate agent the week after filming wrapped. Alone. No Jovi, no camera crew. Just quiet tours of beachfront apartments, away from New Orleans, away from fans, away from him. Some thought it was a pause. Others called it posturing. Darcey found out. She didn't take it well, allegedly told editors, "You're not telling my story, you're selling his." And when the edit is safer than the truth, the audience feels it. And that's when the internet steps in. Reddit exploded with side-by-side timeline comparisons. TikTokers uploaded clips with timestamps. DMs allegedly recovered from Georgie's real accounts showed romantic contact with other women while camera crews were prepping reunion slots. Yara didn't engage with her own noise. She let her socials speak for themselves. Cryptic story. Healing means disconnecting, no matter who it shocks. Darcey, on the other hand, fully ghosted. TLC refused to respond to producer messages unless legal was CC'd. The network tried pivoting, pitched a new docu-project, tentatively titled Darcey Rebirth. A raw, solo life spin-off where she could guide her own narrative. But she didn't say yes. Not yet. Because it wasn't about being single, it was about being free. And she wasn't going to sign anything until the cameras stopped protecting the men who reduced her to fragments. And if you thought she was going to ease back into her old storyline, remember one thing. You don't cry on a reunion stage. Show proof, get gaslit, and then reset like nothing happened. Yara and Darcey weren't crying for camera time. They were calling out the entire structure built around them. And TLC tried to clean up the mess. Instead of damage control, they got a reality check, on screen, in public, and timed perfectly with fan outrage trending topics that week. Yara deserves better. Darcey got cut to fit the edit. TLC edits pain for plot. No big breakdown montage could fix that. No glossy reunion hug could reverse the receipts. The reality is, these women didn't just suffer while we watched. They woke up, and we saw it. Now, the only question was, which version of their lives did TLC still have control over? But what TLC didn't see coming is that their clean public edit opened the door for a much dirtier truth to crawl out next. By the end of that week, fans weren't asking to see more. They were asking to see everything, and when Reddit found a leaked footage thread, it hit 5,000 comments by morning. We already knew Darcey's emotional collapse didn't match what producers aired. But now, we had timelines, watermarked frame grabs, even side-by-side clips from international airings that showed edits cut from the US version. One of those missing scenes, Georgie, off mic, reportedly raising his voice just after the dinner blow-up. Allegedly aggressive tone, hard enough for two crew members to step in before Darcey walked off the first time that scene never aired. Why? Because according to an anonymous assistant editor who DM'd screenshots to a 90-day gossip account, that footage didn't test well. It shifted audience sympathy too far, so Upper Post team pulled it from the final cut. Translation: real life made the wrong man look bad, so the network adjusted the story. But this time, public opinion didn't reset. It revolted. One Reddit comment went viral. TLC edits women's trauma down to a reaction shot, but keeps men's dignity intact, no matter how messy their behavior. Another TikTok broke it wider. How many times has Darcey shown us she's wounded, only to be called dramatic? Now we know why. She never gets to keep the context. Their breakdowns weren't just raw scenes. They were storylines built without consent. Yara's entire last arc before the reunion had her gaslit on screen, with Jovi accusing her of being too career-focused, while TLC buried public stories about Jovi's cheating screenshots going viral. None of that aired. What we got instead, a touching montage of their memories, with soft piano underneath. So we feel what, exactly? Nostalgia? Meanwhile, Yara's real IG was serving quote-level shade. You can't survive in a marriage where growth feels like betrayal. She wasn't tagging anyone. She didn't need to. And as this quiet shakeup kept building, more insiders chimed in. According to two different leaks, crew members were allegedly told to focus on emotional shifts that viewers could process faster. That meant clips without too much nuance. Translation: More tears, less background, more drama, less understanding. That meant fans saw Darcey falling apart, but not the reason why they saw Yara sobbing, but not the withheld affection. And that's when TLC's strategy started backfiring. Because now, every time they posted a clip, the top comments weren't about the stars, they were about the structure. You're not fooling us anymore. Stop trimming context to protect your brand. Let women be full humans, not emotional props. And when the audience starts turning the script inside out, the producers lose control of the pacing. Friends close to production say she stopped returning any outreach from producers she once trusted. Even her own cast circle felt frozen out. Stacey eventually told someone from the styling team on set, she's tired of defending real pain edited like a performance. Because that's what it was beginning to feel like, emotional gaslighting by editing. A repeat cycle, collapse, close-up, cut. First, they cry. Then they're told to calm down. Then they're labeled unstable. Then someone makes a teaser out of it. And the real killer? That formula worked for years. Now it's cracking from inside. Comments flooded back under old romanticized clips of Jovi and Yara with their baby, or Georgie proposing with rehearsed smiles. Nobody's buying it now. Not after receipts. Not after deleted scenes. Not after watching women beg for understanding while their emotional abusers got cleaner arcs. And just when fans thought they had all the puzzle pieces, another curveball dropped. An old flame, silent for months, had allegedly been invited back. And not quietly. One insider claimed TLC had reached out to Jesse Meester to appear on a bonus scene, not as support. As contrast, to show Darcey's pattern, not Georgie's failure. And if that's true, then this isn't storytelling anymore, it's character assassination packaged as reality. Which leads to the bigger question, what happens when the villains aren't the ones getting exposed? Because they're the ones writing the script. But someone's about to crash the party and carry their own trail of chaos right into the reunion. They invited Jesse Meester back. Yes, the ex-boyfriend who gave Darcey trust issues the size of Sweden. And according to crew members who spoke anonymously, he wasn't invited for closure. He was brought in to paint a pattern. Not his own, of course. Hers. Darcey's. The plan was subtle. Day 3 of reunion filming, producers planted him backstage. No dramatic entrance, no warning, just a quiet, he's here to speak on past patterns, tossed into the notes for segment 3. But Darcey wasn't having it. She found out before the doors opened. One of the makeup artists tipped her off that Jesse was spotted mic'd up in the hall. Her reaction? Didn't yell, didn't cry. She smiled, told them, if he walks out, I walk out. And inside the control room, producers panicked. Because here's the problem with milking a woman's pain for years. Eventually, she stops giving you access. Because what used to feel like wild entertainment now sounded like a woman bulldozing other women's trauma to defend men who kept failing them. And when one cast starts calling out the others while defending the audience's favorite scapegoats, the whole reality show template cracks. Meanwhile, Jesse was pulled. He never came on screen. Word is, Darcey threatened to completely withdraw from the show and her potential spin-off if they let that storyline air, period. So, why was he even there? Sources say the pitch was wrapped as emotional clarity, but the goal was clearly guilt by history. TLC couldn't make Georgie look better, so they tried to make Darcey look worse. That's when fans exploded. Reddit theories turned into timelines. YouTubers added voiceovers. Notice how every arc ends with Darcey being unstable, but the men never questioned, and then said the line that shut it down. Love shouldn't make you disappear. And that was it. No hugs, no hopeful closing music. Just a couple sitting 5 feet apart, visibly done but still wearing wedding rings because contracts, not connection, kept them there. And behind the scenes, every producer knew the thing they never wanted to admit. This wasn't entertainment anymore. It was erosion broadcasted weekly. The old formula? Exploit heartbreak, patch it in post, end with a wedding, a honeymoon, or a reunion hug. But this time, real-world pain leaked too far into the airtime. Too raw to be reshot, too clear to be spun. Angela's shouting didn't distract Jesse's presence, didn't twist the narrative. Yara's silence became louder than any host prompt. And Darcey? She stopped being the cautionary tale they thought she was. Now she's the person the audience respects most, not because she loved perfectly, but because she learned out loud. And finally walked away. And if you think the cast has said all they're going to say, think again. The leaks in Act 7 make the reunion look like a trailer for the real storm. They filmed for 4 more days after that reunion. Not the main cast, just extra interviews, reaction shots, voiceovers, pickup footage, the kind of edits used to hide emotional mess with clean transitions. But everyone watching already knew the truth wasn't in the confessionals. It was in everything left out. And for weeks, fans kept asking the question production refused to answer. Why was the most explosive season in 90 Day Fiancé history missing its ugliest moments from the final cut? The answer slipped out one DM at a time. A makeup artist anonymously confirming they were asked not to speak to certain cast members during emotional scenes. Then came word that TLC had been quietly re-editing the upcoming season rollout, entire couples restructured, reunion footage reviewed, episodes being combed for things that risked fan emotional pushback. They weren't cleaning up for broadcast. They were pulling the threads before collapse unraveled everything, because this wasn't just about 2 couples anymore. It was about a machine that needs pain to stay relevant, a story factory that scouts for cracks, pushes emotional limits, then chops up real trauma into 42-minute experiences. They thought the spotlight would silence the women speaking out. It did the opposite. Now viewers can see the patterns. Darcey starts over. The man doesn't change. Yara builds something. Her husband resents her for it. The reunion gives one last shot at redemption. And instead, both women expose what reality TV depends on. Recycled pain reframed as personality. And yet, neither of them broke this time. One unfollowed, walked out, and built a solo life that doesn't need a spin-off contract to feel legitimate. The other is raising a daughter, rebuilding her brand, and smiling again, without defending herself in every episode. That's not a character arc, that's healing. Off camera, and somewhere deep in the network office, someone has to know. They didn't just lose control of cast. They lost control of the story. The edit isn't enough anymore. The silence won't work. The audience doesn't want another reunion hug. They want receipts, layers, accountability. And for once, they're listening for Darcey's truth, not Georgie's apology. Not because she was perfect, not because she always handled it well, but because she stayed when it was easier to leave, until leaving became the braver thing to show. Now she's not the tragedy, she's the example. Same with Yara. They aren't storylines anymore. They're the people who looked straight into the camera and stopped pretending. And that's what makes this season different, because we didn't just watch romance fall apart, we watched an entire system unravel. And when the audience finally sees behind the curtain, the show doesn't get to go back to normal. It either tells the whole truth, or it ends. But what if I told you the next season won't start with love at all, but with a betrayal so fresh, cast members are refusing to show up until it airs their version first?